Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the studio. Apologies for not having very many videos coming out lately. My only daughter is getting married in a couple of months, and well, I've been working 24/7 to try to pay for it. So those of you who are dads of daughters probably understand that. But I'm going to try to do better going forward. But today, we're going to take a look at this Tandy computer monitor from the 1980s. Now, I got this, I don't know, about a year ago, along with a Tandy 1000EX computer, a bunch of software, and a monitor stand. And they had come from, well, I should say, a bit of a hoarding environment. So it's filthy. I don't want to plug it in yet until I can look at it and make sure there's nothing crawling around inside. So today, we're going to clean this up. Hopefully get a look inside, make sure it's good to go, and test it out, because I need this for a project I've got coming up with the Commodore 128. And yes, I already do have a Commodore 128 monitor, but I need a second one for this video that's coming up. So if you know on that. It should be pretty cool. So stay tuned. Today we're going to dive into this, get it cleaned up and hopefully working. So stay tuned. So let's give you just a little bit of background on how I came to possess this nasty, dirty old monitor. So about a year ago, I was on Facebook Marketplace just browsing around, and I came across a listing that had just popped up for this, which is a Tandy CM-5 monitor, the 1000EX computer, a bunch of software, a monitor stand, some other stuff, and it was like 25 bucks. And I'm thinking, this is probably a scam, because there's nobody in their right mind is going to sell all that stuff for 25 bucks. So I immediately reached out to the lady and said, I'm about 15 miles away from you. I'm going to get in the truck now. What's your address? So she gave me her information, so that it was her brother's that passed away, and I headed that way. Now, when I pulled up at the house, she met me outside, and she said, since you messaged me, I've had like 100 people, wanting to come get this thing and offering me way more money. She goes, but I told him I had a guy on his way to look at it, and he gets first shot at it. So I was very grateful for that. So it turns out her brother, who had just passed away, bought the entire setup brand new back in the mid to late 80s. And he loved it, used the computer all the way through the late 90s. And then it just kind of got put on a shelf. And his health had declined. His house had fallen into disrepair, turned into kind of a hoarding situation. And at the time that he passed away, she was just trying to get stuff out of there. And I told her, I know this is way more valuable than what you're asking. I'd love to give you more money for it. And she refused. She said, no, I really just want it to go to somebody who's going to clean it up, who can restore it, and love this computer as much as my brother did. She goes, I don't want it to sell to somebody who's just going to clean it up and then try to make money off of it. I want it to go to a good home. So I promised her that, I would do my best to restore this and feature it, and love it as much as her brother did. So, a little bit of motivation behind this whole process. So sorry for the long story, but I figured I'd better give you a little bit of background on how I ended up with this nasty thing. So the computer itself, I've had it apart. I've been working on it since I got it, and it's pretty bad. I don't know that it's going to work ever. And if I've got some footage of that, I'll throw that on the screen now so you can see it. But just absolutely caked in all sorts of grime and liquids and bugs and bug excrement and mouse droppings, and just really, really nasty. So I'm expecting this to probably be just as bad. I have not plugged it in yet, because I'm afraid there might be stuff laying on the boards that might short this thing out. So I think the plan of attack is going to be get it cleaned up on the outside, get it looking nice, and then we'll take it apart, look inside, see if we need to clean anything up, see if there's anything noticeable as far as damage. Fix it if we can, and then, clean it up and then test it out, and hopefully it works. So let's go ahead and get some tools out, some cleaner and some rags, and we'll get to work on a little bit of a cleaning montage. I'm really not sure where to start with this thing, so I think we'll just start with some heavy-duty degreaser and some old rags and just try to get as much of this gunk off of it as we can. I don't know that it shows up on video as bad as it really is. I mean, this thing, every square inch of it is just caked with just nasty dirty, gross. I mean, there even looks like there's bird droppings on it. How that happened, I have no idea. It's got everything on. Everything bad that you could think of is on this. So, we're just gonna, I guess, start at the beginning and see what we can do. See if we can get maybe before and after half and a half shot or something on this. But it's just, I mean, disgusting. Luckily, it looks like a lot of this stuff, the main grime, is kind of wiping off of there. There looks like some staining on the actual plastic. But it may eventually come clean. Let's see if we can get a shot up here on the top of what this thing is actually looking like so far. I mean, it's even just with a couple of swipes across the top, I think the video will show some difference in how the one side versus the other looks. I mean, just absolutely nasty. I am kind of worried that we're going to spend all this time getting it cleaned up enough to handle and get it apart, and it's going to be a lost cause inside. I'm really hoping that's not the case, because as you know, CRT monitors are getting, they don't really make them anymore. So, as one dies and goes away, there's not one to replace it. So I really want to do my best to get this thing cleaned up to the point where it's usable and it looks decent, because as these systems age and these monitors and components get older, they're not going to last forever. And I think it's up to us, as enthusiasts and collectors, to take care of this stuff and preserve it for the next generation. I see more and more younger people that are getting interested in this older technology, and I want it to be around for them to use. Emulators are great, but emulators are not the real thing, and there's just something that's, I think, more special about using the actual old technology and having that work and enjoying it. So hopefully we can add this to the collection of old technology that still works. Now here's the other side of this thing. I mean, as you can see, just absolutely nasty. And I swear that looks like bird poop on this thing. So I don't know if it was outside at some point, but based on what the lady told me and how much her brother loved this thing, I couldn't imagine him having it outside at any point, unless maybe his sister stored it outside briefly after he passed away. But it's actually, I mean, cleaning up pretty decent. There are a couple of places that are a little extra stubborn, but overall it's not too bad. There are some discolored areas on here, but really nothing too terrible. All right, let's work on getting this screen clean now. And look at where we are on this rag so far. I mean, just absolutely nasty compared to one that's not so dirty. But let's go for it and see if we can get. I swear that's bird poop. I'll just soak the heck out of this thing, and then just hope that it's coming clean. So there are a few deep scuffs in the plastic, but I think that's to be expected. Well, that bird poop came right off of there. Get inside those creases. Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, I really don't want to know what that stuff is. I feel like I'm going to end up with the bubonic plague or something after touching all this stuff. Get the hand sanitizer out after this. All right, let's get those creases in there. It's a shame it's missing the little cover that go over the controls for the monitor, and Not a whole lot of those floating around either. I guess these monitors must have lost their covers pretty easily. And I have not, for the CM5, I mean, I haven't looked really hard, but there are 3D print files for a lot of different Tandy monitors for those covers. I've not found one for this one yet, though. All right, so from what I can tell, it appears that there are 6 screws that we have to take out to get the back off of this monitor. Now, I want to remind everybody that if you are not comfortable working with CRTs, do not take the back off of one of these. Now, I'm not a CRT technician by any means, but I'm not going to be poking around on any circuit boards either. This probably hasn't been powered on in years either, so I'm sure that the flyback capacitor and all that stuff is probably not charged still, but I'm going to treat it like it is. We have to be very, very careful getting into these. So let's go ahead and get these screws out of the back. Got 2 on the top. There's one. And here's 2. I really don't know what to expect. Like I said, there was so much nasty stuff inside that computer that I'm expecting this to be equally as bad. I mean, the bugs and whatnot get in through all the vents, and this has got vents all over it. So I'm expecting it to be teeming with life. Well, hopefully nothing alive, but you never really know with these. So we're going to get this one off of here. That'll be the main screws. And then I'm assuming that there are 2 screws next to where the cables are attached. I assume that those probably have to come out too. So we'll go ahead and get these off. 2 shorter ones. They do have the arrows next to them, which generally on these means that they have to come out to be able to take the body apart. So yep, there we go. Set this on its front so that we can pull this out. Okay. Getting our first look. I'll give it a few squirts here on some of the dirty areas, and yeah, I mean that's not bad at all. This thing's it's dirty, but for whatever reason, the bugs and stuff didn't get in here like they did that computer. This is a whole lot cleaner. There's really just a couple areas that look like they've got some kind of residue on. But I think if we carefully clean that stuff up, I don't think we're going to have a problem with this. It looks pretty decent in there. Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with this. Nothing that's really standing out as being ready to fail or failed, at least from a visual standpoint. So I think I'm going to take a few seconds just to go back over it, clean off some grummy areas, and I think we're going to put it back together and try it. All right, put that back on. Go ahead and get our few screws back in here. And I think we'll test it out. We'll test it out on its own first to make sure it doesn't go bang. And then after we do that, we'll hook it up to either the Tandy or the Commodore and see if it will display a video signal. I really hope it does. This ended up not being near as bad as I thought. I figured this was either going to turn into an overly complicated repair video where I couldn't end up fixing it at the end, or a ridiculously long kind of ASMR cleaning video, and I really didn't want that either. So hopefully it ends up being just a quick and easy clean up and plug in and you know, kind of a test of a vintage monitor. I like the look of these CM5s. I think they have a real classic look. And I hope I can get the monitor stand that came with this cleaned up and looking good too, because that was one thing with these older monitors, with whether it's like a Tandy 1000EX or a Commodore 128, you know, you really couldn't set the monitor on top of the computer. There wasn't enough room, so they made these neat little stands to put your monitor on so the computer would slide right underneath it. And I'd like to have one of those. Now my Tandy computer is a 1000SX, so not necessarily useful for that. But if I use this monitor with the Commodore or I get that 1000EX working, then it'd be nice to have it. Now one thing that I just realized I forgot to clean are these nasty cables. So I think we'll go ahead and give them a clean real quick and then get this thing set up to test out. So stick with me. Okay, so this is going to be the moment of truth where we find out if it blows up or if it comes on. So fingers crossed. All right, power light is on. I hear that unmistakable sound of a CRT. Well, it's lit up. Okay, well that's the knobs seem to work. It's doing something to the screen, so that's a good sign. Let's flip the Tandy on here. Yeah, here it is. Memory size, 384K. This should boot from the CF adapter that I have in here that I got from Texelec. All right, what is the date today? It is 03/25, if I can type. 2025. It is 15/19 or so. There we go. Can't remember what I've got on this thing. It's been a while since I've had it. It appears to be working. It looks pretty good, I think. Not bad for King's Quest demo on monitor that was covered with poop not too long ago. Well, this actually makes me really happy. I'm glad this monitor works. I'll probably do a little bit more cleanup on it, do a little bit more testing, but just knowing that it works, it looks good, there doesn't appear to be anything wrong with the picture tube or the way any of the circuitry is working. So I'm really super happy with that. So now I've got my extra monitor to use on my Commodore 128 for the next video. So make sure you stay tuned for that. It should be something neat, something that I had thought about a lot when I was a kid, wondered if it could be done, and well, sure enough, it can. So stay tuned for the next video. Appreciate you coming along with me on this ride. Until next time, I've been Chad here at Vintage Electronics Channel. Happy computing.